What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hard Park 703 channel. So it is a dark and stormy night. It's pretty late. All right, that's a lie. I guess it's really early. It's 3 in the morning, but I can't sleep. I'm wide awake, and that's because I'm pretty upset, and we'll talk about that. But since I'm wide awake, I figure I might as well start filming my video now instead of just waiting until the morning. So, as you know, we have lowered the rear of the C8, and I think it looks way better now that it's lowered. But we didn't touch the front, and so I definitely wanted the front lower, and I've had plans for that, and I have plans in stages. And so that's what we're gonna get into. So this is gonna focus on the front suspension. And so let's dive into it. So what I've got here is from Paragon Performance, and these are the lowering collars for the front. If you have the setup that I do, which is the adjustable height suspension for the front, that allows you to raise and lower the vehicle up to 2 inches, right? And so if you have that feature, then this is the way that you're gonna lower the front suspension even further, for that matter. And so these collars right here are thinner than the factory ones. And so we gotta swap these on. And so in order to do that, you gotta take apart like the whole shock assembly and all that. You gotta remove the springs and everything, blah, 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 and then you gotta put these on. So there's a whole process for that. We've been looking at the videos of how to do that and everything. And so once again, it's one of those situations where it doesn't look difficult, but it's going to be tedious because there's a lot of steps involved, right? And so along with the collars, I also got the tools necessary, right? So this is one of the tools that you're gonna need, right? So I ordered that to come along with it. And then here's the other one. This one right here. It's like a little pick. So yeah, so I got all that, and this is what we're gonna be doing. However, I am missing an item. Along with this, I placed the order for it to specifically come with the 3/8 riser shims. So they're like the little black shims that would go in here inside your collar. And so then that way you won't go as low. Not a problem right now because as of right now, I'm just gonna use the collars. And so the collars should give me a really good drop up front. And so we're gonna do this in the morning and in a few hours from now, apparently. But yeah, so it's not a major concern right now that I'm missing the 3/8 riser shims, because I'm just planning on using the collars for this install. So we're gonna see the height difference. But then later, I plan on installing the Hyperco springs as well that I bought with this whole package and everything. And so those are gonna drop the vehicle significantly. Like that's gonna definitely, like you would say, you know, lack of a better word, like that's gonna slam the vehicle. And that's where I was thinking of using the shims. Because if the front sits way too low, then I was going to use those 3/8 riser shims to raise the vehicle that much. And at that time is when I would have seen, like, you know, I would have been using that item. So it's a shame that it's missing, right? Even though I ordered it with all this stuff. So I contacted C-Force Performance, who I placed this order through. And then hopefully they can get in touch with Paragon Performance and let them know that I'm missing the item. But like I said, it's not critical for today's install. So that's what I'm upset about. I'm just upset that you know how it is. I mean, you open up a box and you're counting all the items that come with it and everything, blah blah, and then you come to find out that you're missing an item. So now you got to be that person who reaches out to the company and you're like, hey, sorry to bother you. You know, here's proof that I ordered this, but it didn't show up. And not to mention, it's one of those parts that you wouldn't lie about. I mean, this is the expensive part. The shims themselves cost $10, and so I can order them. That's fine. I can order them myself. I don't have a problem doing that if it comes down to it. But I just thought maybe just reach out and be like, hey, do you think maybe it would be possible to send me the missing items? If they can't do it, okay, that's fine. I'll order them myself and then have them here for the future install date, for when we go max depth, max slamness, whatever you want to call it, on the vehicle. So anyways, yeah, that's why I was in a crappy mood. But I'm gonna get in a much better mood tomorrow once we lower the vehicle. I think these are gonna make a big difference. So I'm really excited to see what it's gonna look like just with these, right? Because like I said, we're not touching the springs yet. We're just doing these. So now the front is gonna be lower, and so I think it'll tie in much nicer with the rear. Because anytime I take shots of the vehicle, I mean, even though there's a rake on the C8, it still looks like it's like, you know, it looks like it's ready for a flood. That's what everyone always says. So yeah, anyways, all right. I'm gonna try to get some sleep, so I will pick this up in the morning. We've got everything that we need for today's install, and we're good to go. So yeah, just thanks for hearing me vent. But yeah, I'll pick it up in a few hours. And guess who just got the shims? So I hit up Scott Smith over at C-Force Performance. Not even 12 hours later, he already had shipped out the shims. I just explained to him, I was like, hey, look, it's been like 2 to 3 months since I received the package from you. I know they drop ship directly from Paragon Performance, but I bought them through Scott's site, which is C-Force Performance. And I explained the situation. I was like, hey, look, like, here's the receipt. I had the shims as part of the package, but I never received them. Within like a breath, he was just like, dude, don't even worry about it. I got you. I'll send them right away. And he did. And so that means the world to me. Like, thank you so much. That's amazing customer service. And that's Scott, you know, replying to me and dealing with the problem that wasn't even his, right? Like, I mean, I'm not mad at Paragon. It's just Paragon forgot an item of mine, and Scott resolved the situation very quickly. Like I said, like literally, like I think it was 12 hours later, because I messaged him at night, and then by that morning he was like, hey, I'm already sending them out. I already got the tracking number and everything, and then these arrived the next day. So that's awesome. So since we're talking about them, let's open them up. And I'm gonna go ahead and post a link to C-Force Performance in the description. That's the site I use primarily to buy Paragon Performance parts. He's always got great deals, like frequently posted up. Like he'll have great discounts and whatnot. So just check it out. And Scott, like, just thanks for being just such a great guy. All right, and here they are. Yep. That's exactly what I thought. Literally, that's it. That's it. The rest is literally just packaging. Just packaging. Nothing else in there. Awesome. All right, put that there. And this is what I was missing. So these are the shims. So these go inside the collars. And so that is 3/8 of an inch. So that'll raise you up that much. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but that's literally the difference between you basically tucking tire or having at least like maybe a pinky gap between the fender and the top of the tire. So, I mean, it's definitely, you know, like preference. For me, I'm gonna need this. If I end up putting a splitter underneath that front lip, I'm gonna need this, because this is gonna definitely be that, like, how do I say it? This is gonna allow me to run the front splitter and not have that splitter basically dragging on the floor, because that's how low the springs and the collar combination will drop the Stingray, right? So with this, I'll be able to raise the vehicle just by this much, and then that way at least that front splitter won't be dragging on the floor.
the other side of all of this would be, I'm not gonna run this, and I don't run a front splitter, and then I'm just happy with the front lip that I have on it, and the vehicle will be that much lower. So I just got to choose whether I want to use a splitter in conjunction with the 3/8 risers, right, that we've got right here, or if I just want to go ahead and do my front lip, you know, just like completely have the vehicle as low as possible with just the collars and the springs, and just go from there. So I don't know, I'll think about that later. But yeah, so these are those missing shims that I was talking about. So awesome, I'm so happy to have these. All right, so it's a few hours later. It's morning time. No rain, luckily. Gloomy day, but at least the temperatures went way down. I figured we'd start with showing you the before and after, right? So I'll show you right now while it's aired up, and then I'll show you once I hit the button and it's in the lower position, and then that way I can compare what it'll look like afterwards. So we'll do a comparison now, and then we'll do comparisons later, and we'll put everything back to back. I'll figure out how I'm gonna do the video. All right, so right now it's in the aired up position, so you can see it's very much of a gap. So the gap should be about, I think, a hand. Yeah. So yeah, okay, so 4 fingers. So it's 4 fingers right now. So all right, 4 finger gap in the front right there, gives you one more view, right? All right, so now let's lower it. Let's push the button. Push the button real quick. Here we go. Oh. Okay. What? Okay, I guess it won't close. Guess I gotta close the door. Okay, there we go. Gotta close the door. Now it goes down. You see how it's flashing? Yeah, so you can push the button all you want, but if you don't close the driver door, it's not gonna go down. So why is it still flashing though? Doesn't make sense. I mean, what? This is weird. Okay, vehicle raising. Right, okay, so it's raised. All right, so now I push the button again. Vehicle lowering. Okay, there we go. All right, so now it's off. Finicky. All right, let's take a look. Yeah. So clearly you can see that it definitely adjusted itself in the front. So the front is now, what, maybe three fingers? So 3, yep, exactly. So exactly 3 fingers, a little bit less than 3 fingers, because if I'm going straight in, it gets caught right here on my finger. So that would be, I don't know, just slightly less than 3 fingers. So clearly before we had 4 fingers easily, and now we have slightly less than 3 fingers. So. All right, let's get to the shop. I'm already late. All right, so just got to the shop. The vehicle is in the raised position. So real quick, let's just take a look at the height again in the raised position. Here we go. We'll run through this real fast. And it started raining. Awesome. Okay, so there we go. Got a real good view of the front, right? Okay, so it's gonna be 4, see? So 4 fingers easily. There we go. That's the height right there. Let's get in the car. It's not raining. It's just I was just getting drips from the vehicle. Drips from the tree onto the vehicle. All right. So let's close the door real quick. There we go. All right. Pushing the button. Vehicle is lowering. All right. Should be good to go. Let's take a look again. All right. Oh yeah, see? Obviously much lower. So now we've got what? Barely 3, a little bit less than 3. Yep, so definitely less than 3, right? So I can't even get it past, like I said, this little notch right here. So it's less than 3 fingers, so. All right, let's get to it. So we got the first brand, it's called shock assembly.
Yep.
Okay, so we got the shock assembly off on the passenger side. what are you marking up?
Alignment.
Okay. So Brian made lines.
Just to put everything in alignment, because
okay,
the bottom could be reinstalled off angle to the top, and then it wouldn't fit.
Oh, okay. So this is gonna help you, like when you put things back together. You're just like, all right, let me find the next line or whatever.
Straight. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So that's important. So make sure you mark it up. All right. So now we're working on the driver's side. All right, so the second most important part is using the, what do you call this tool? The
D-pin tool?
The D-pin tool. So you're gonna have to get it into the little connector slot. And so as you're pressing up on the spring, you gotta pull it out. And so I know it doesn't make sense. There's diagrams of how to do it and everything, but this is a very critical part. You gotta be careful with it. And did we just do it? Perfect.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. All right, so this socket is for
loosening the nut.
Okay. So this is the other tool that came with the kit that we're about to use. So we just used the D-pin tool, right? And so now we got to use the special socket.
Similar to an oxygen sensor concept.
Oh, like yeah. So I've used the O2
so we don't
sensors.
damage the harness.
Okay, gotcha. So that's what that opening is for, you're saying? So you can keep rotating it and you don't like strip the wiring or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so obviously now in order to disassemble it, we gotta take the tension off, so we gotta use a spring compressor. I've seen the ones that are like Jaws or whatever. Brian's got one on the wall. That's dope. I've never seen this before, so that looks really cool. So I guess it's just, yeah, I'm curious to see how this thing is gonna work. It's dope. I guess so. That's the top hook right there, and then those are the bottom hooks right there, and then just cool. So, do you guys want to see how sketch the business is next to my dad's automotive? This is the kind of crap they do. All right, so that vehicle is jacked up right now, and it's being held by one jack on the driver's side and one jack on the passenger side. And their jack is on the back corner on the driver's side, and then jack is on the front corner on the passenger side. So that thing is just teetering. That's that is sketch. Literally all day, every day. That's what they do. Super nice guys, but yeah, that's not that's not okay. Cool. We got it off. So now we got the collar placed on it.
I gotta take the cap off.
Okay. So what was the cap that you were talking about?
It's a seal cap.
Okay, yeah.
But it has to go on after I put the
Oh, gotcha.
lifter back
Okay.
on.
Right. Okay. So the only part I literally recognize is the rubber bump stop. Everything else is just rocket science to me. So that's why Brian had to remove that cap from the black piece, I guess. So as you can see, that's where the collar went, right? So the collar's on the bottom, and then that big assembly went over it. Now that's the cap that he just removed, so that cap's going back on. And the rubber bump stop now has to go back on. So even Brian is saying, just like I said earlier, it's not difficult. Just this process is tedious because there's a lot of components that need to be disassembled. So I'm not filming the entire process of how to take apart your suspension and all that. There's plenty of videos to do that. I'm just showing kind of like the overall process, right? So that way we can do comparison of like the size differences for the collars, and then the height differences. But yeah, there's plenty of amazing tutorials. The best like installation tutorial for this, for disassembling like your shock assemblies and everything, it's from New Horizon. I wish I knew his name, but it's from his channel, and that man is a genius. Like he really helped out with this whole thing. Okay, so let's start. So which part did we just replace? So we put these on
and replace this.
Okay, this is shorter than this.
So look at the inside depth. The hat is at the top. You see the collar?
Yes.
So this one, the collar is right there. So this came down way further.
Oh yeah, I mean
you can see it right here.
Okay, all right. So that's okay. That's why I couldn't find on here when I was looking. I was like, what part did we just replace? I just see a small little collar there. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. The inner part was much shallower than on the new one. So the new one allows this whole assembly to go much deeper, you're saying. Okay. And so what were you saying here? You were saying you were able to read this before?
Yeah, like before I started, it was, I could see this whole sticker.
Oh, okay, that's how it was. And so now that we installed the Paragon Performance lowering collars, that's how much lower it's gone.
Yes.
Wow. Wow, okay, that makes sense. Cool. All right, so what do we got?
I was just showing you the height of the sticker.
Okay, so this is the other one. You're saying this is the other assembly that we're about to do.
Yeah, so
okay.
when we're done, the collar's going to be down here covering the sticker.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is how it starts right now. You just took it off.
Correct.
And so we still got to disassemble this and then put the collar on. And so this is the sticker that you were talking about that is fully visible. And then on the other one, we just noticed that like you can barely see underneath the L.
Correct.
Okay.
That's how much it's going to drop.
Wow. So that gives you guys a very good idea of just how much the collars alone drop this. And then that way you can understand that 3/8 riser shim would raise you back up 3/8 of an inch, right? So now I see how it all comes into play. All right, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the collar versus the Paragon Performance collar versus the factory collar. All right, so here I thought in my head, what I was visualizing was that this collar itself was shorter than a bigger metal collar that would have been on the shock assembly, at the bottom of the shock assembly, right? And so I guess now I understand this much better. This is on the bottom of the shock assembly, and right here, this is what matters, the inner lip, I guess you would say, right? So that's it on the factory one, right? So compared to, let me wipe my hands down a little bit. Compared to, look how much that drops in there. So that is very, very significant. So now I'm understanding this whole assembly much better. What a noob, I know. So here's the other thing. The fact that the collar drops the whole shock assembly that much more, then, I mean, when this thing is, lack of a better word, I always say aired out. Now I don't even want to say aired out because it has nothing to do with air. It's brake fluid, right? And so it's a hydraulic pump, I guess you would say. And so I'm just going to keep using aired up and aired down just for the sake of the conversation. But yeah, so when it's aired down, I mean, considering we had barely 3-finger gap, I mean, this is going to be barely probably a 2-finger gap, if that, or more. And that's just with the collar, without the shim. So now I understand why the shim comes into play for people who don't want to be that low. But we haven't even put the Hyperco springs on there yet either. We're going to do that at a later date, like I said. But I'm so curious to see how much lower this thing is going to look as soon as we're done with this whole process. And then I can't even imagine then how much lower it's going to look in person once I do have the springs on there too. Like, it's one thing to look at the pictures and you're like, all right, cool. Kind of gives you an understanding of like how far off the ground your front lip sits. But I'm thinking with everything we've done, like, because my front lip's pretty aggressive and it hangs down low. And then also the fact that we're going to be adding more to the front, I'm not going to give it away. Like, just stay tuned for that one. This car's going to be like slammed, which is dope. But yeah, so take it a step at a time. So let's see how low, I was about to say how low we can go today. That sounds really, really lame. So we'll see how how much lower it sits in a little bit. Literally, I just mentioned to Brian what I was just talking to you about. And he was like, oh, dude, yeah, it's a significant difference. You may not need to put springs on there, and you might already be low enough. And then I was like, yeah, but that's like you telling me, hey, you don't need your car any louder. And yeah, I've already got other parts too to make it louder. So you can never be too loud and you can never be too low. Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy. Tap, taparoo. If you guys get the reference from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. Yeah. Easier.
What part is the same as the NSX?
This front suspension.
Oh, okay.
The procedure to taking it apart, taking it out, is the same as like the 2017 and up NSX with a similar Magna
ride things, assembly, whatever. Yeah,
so
okay,
you gotta
gotcha.
have a special socket. You gotta depin it. You gotta do all of this.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
But this one comes out pretty well. Like way easier than my car.
Look at Brian's ingenuity. He literally just had to hook a wire to it in order to be able to feed the wiring through there. Genius. So with the you're saying with the Paragon Performance collar on there, there's less spring pressure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so now if you weren't perfectly aligned, you get a little forgiveness, like I can twist.
I get what you're saying. Okay. Easier to get the little markings back in line, you're saying?
Yeah, like when you're putting it on the car.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
If everything was completely tight, like the stock one, you wouldn't be able to rotate this if your bolt didn't line up.
Okay.
But,
cool. All right, something to know. We're pretty much done. Passenger side is already on, and so now Brian is putting on the driver's side. And it's not even noon yet, and we started at 10 a.m., so less than 2 hours, and you can get this done. So now you've got a good ballpark figure of, how long it'll take for you to be able to do this. So I guess set aside a good 2 hours, and you'll be good. I mean, maybe even 3 hours. I just thought this was going to be like an all-day thing, but it's not. That's awesome. It's not as bad as I thought. So is that the new crush washer?
yeah, these are
Okay, so these are the new crush washers that need to go on the banjo bolt.
Yep,
So,
order them from the dealer.
Okay, so get yourself crush washers from the dealer. You don't reuse the old ones. You just old ones in there. Just cut it and then tossed it. So very important part. Do not forget this part. You need new crush washers. So that's what Brian's doing right now. So we just order them straight from the dealer. All right, so now the next part is we are topping off the brake fluid, but we didn't lose barely any brake fluid because Brian pinched the lines. And so he did that so then it wouldn't leak. So that's great. So something to know, pinch your lines. But yeah, so look, we only had to put a little bit on there. And so now the brake fluid is topped off. What a
Line pinch.
Oh, cool. I was like, cool, thanks, man. I was like, what is this? All right, so line pincher. Cool, awesome. For me, this could be very much something from the space station for all I know. So, cool. So that's in the low setting. So it's just giving you an idea. I'm just taking a quick little shot for you guys, but then we'll definitely go full 360 around the vehicle on a much sunnier day so we get a better image. But so it's definitely front and back now match a lot better stance wise. So all right, so it's a new day, but I've got the vehicle now parked at home in the exact same spot. Whoa, chill people, chill. Jeez, neighborhood. I don't know why people are speeding like that. But anyways, all right, got the car in the same spot. Now let's see, why am I getting out of the car? All right, let's raise the vehicle. Let's raise the vehicle. Then let's see if the maximum height, now that it's raised or whatever, has changed. And then we'll see how much the height has changed once it's lowered. So, okay. Okay, so raising the vehicle. Okay, so it's raised. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. All right, so max height. All right, so we had 4 fingers easily all the way in, like to my thumb and past it. So, okay, max height seems a little bit lower now because I can't even get the pinky in there. The pinky hits the tire. So I would say it's probably about, it used to be almost a whole hand's worth, right? Minus the thumb. And so now my pinky gets stuck on the tire. So it definitely dropped. So that's max height right there. Okay, so I would say you used to have 4 fingers in there and some change almost, and now you have barely, so 3, and you're trying to fit your pinky in there. So not even 4 fingers worth on max height. So, all right, so now let's do, let's lower it. Okay, all right, let's shut the door because that's what we have to do. Okay, so push the button. All right, vehicle is lowered now. Okay. All right, let's check it out. All right, so now we are on the low setting. We had 3 fingers in there right before, so now I can't even get 3 fingers. So it's definitely what, 2? So 2, barely 2. The middle finger hits the top of the tire. So yeah. All right. So yeah, barely two fingers. So 1 and some change, I would say. Yeah. So before it was 3 fingers, and then now not even 2. So that's a significant difference. Is a significant difference. Yeah. All right, let's go do a walk around somewhere else because sunlight's too much shadow. Let's go to. All right, so we're at a new spot. I've always seen it's a really cool place actually. Let me just show you. I'm about to describe it without showing you, but yeah, check this out. It's like out of the way, and so this is great because I can. All right, now I can actually talk to you guys and hear myself think. Check this out. It's like one big. It's almost like a. It's the shape of my steering wheel, so it's like one big like square, but it's dope because no one's here right now, and like you could do laps if you wanted to, but obviously, what's the point? So check this out. So the entrance is way over there. You've got a huge lawn in the center, and then you've got a massive like roundabout, and it comes around right here. I'm parked right here in front of the business. Comes all the way around. Circles all the way out that way again, and then back to the front entrance. So point being, instead of it being like a big circle, it's like straight line, then curves a little bit, straight line, curves a little bit, straight line, and you get the damn point. But yeah, so just like the steering wheel. But anyways, okay, so we're here because I got really like, I was gonna say annoying neighbors, but they're not annoying, they're just jerks. So they like I started up my car right now, literally right now, like as I was leaving the neighborhood or whatever, and they were walking their dogs, and they were like, do you really have to start up your car when we're that close to it? They weren't even that close to it. There's my vehicle. They were walking with their dogs in front, by the way. They weren't in the back of the vehicle. They were right here. So they were right here when I started up the car, and then they went ahead and said, hey, do you have to start up your vehicle when we're that close to it? So I was like, I'm sorry, is it too loud? And they were like, yeah, your other Corvette's really loud too. And so I guess I guess maybe the guy's been holding it in for a while or whatever. And so his wife stayed quiet, but his wife seemed to agree with him. So because she was nodding her head too, like as if they're very displeased with my, you know, like Corvettes, I guess. Mind you, I started up and then I hit the valves, so they go quiet. Sorry that I started up, and it was a warm start, by the way. It's like 100-degree day, but anyways, just jerk neighbors, so whatever. Obviously, it bothers me because I try to be nice to everybody and I mind my own business and everything, and I help out everyone who I can and stuff. And then these guys have to be jerks anyways. But all right, let's move on with the video. All right, so once again, let's take a look with it. Let's take a look with it raised. Okay, so closing the door. Gonna hit the button. All right, vehicle raising. Cool. All right, let's take a look. All right, it's in the raised position. Remember, it was four fingers easily, like all the way to like this piece right here. this part of my thumb, all the way in there. Now look, I can't even get 4 fingers in there. So like you would say it's like 3.5 fingers. So it was 4 fingers and some change, and now it's 3.5 fingers. Okay, so that's the high position. All right, so dirty. All right, let's do the lowered position. Okay, let's close the door. All right, let's hit the button. All right, vehicle is lowering. Okay, vehicle is now at the lowered height. Let's take a look. All right, so now we're in the low position. We used to have 3 fingers. Now, yeah, that's not gonna happen. 2 fingers. 2 fingers don't even go in. Okay, so it's like 1.75, not even. It's 1.5 fingers, you would say, because this is, yeah, it's 1.5 fingers, if that makes sense, but whatever. Yeah, so like that, and then just slightly, because that second finger doesn't even go in. The middle finger doesn't even go in. It touches the top of the tire and then it gets stuck there. So we went from 3 fingers going in to now 1.5. So that's a significant drop. That's definitely a significant drop. Yeah, that's awesome. That is amazing. And the fact that now it matches the rear very nicely, because the front was obviously much more raised than the rear, and so now this is great. This is great. It looks absolutely beautiful. So there you go. All right, let's do a walk around. You started in the back to show off the exhaust, didn't you? Yep. But this is giving you a great view of how she sits, right? So there you go. Nice, very nice squared away setup. I love the heights. Perfect. Let's go to the other side. Look at that. Just amazing. Amazing. I love it. I love it. Round. So the drop right now on this vehicle is fantastic. I love it. Definitely noticeable. However, it's still a little bit too high for my taste, so I'm definitely going to go lower. That front lip, I guess, is going to be... The problem is the front lip's going to be on the ground, though, if I go any lower, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, so sorry if I'm like wiggling the phone side to side. It's just the sun's beaming in my face right now. I'm trying to... Can't really tell, like the screen darkened on its own because it's like overheating. So I'm just trying to get some good shots so you guys get an idea of how much lower it sits. So all right, it's really hot, but you get the point. So now you see how, yeah, so definitely worth it. Go ahead and get those lowering collars if you've got the hydraulic brake fluid pump front suspension raise lower feature that I have. See, I'm trying to use more technical terms instead of using air suspension because it's not air. So, but anyways, it's awesome. It really makes a big difference as soon as you put those collars on there. So yeah, what else do we have? We still have springs that we can put on this thing. And once I put the springs on there, the springs drop at 1.75 inches. That front lip is going to be on the ground. So considering it's going to be on the ground and I've got a couple other little surprises, I'm probably gonna have to raise it up a little bit. So I'm gonna need those shims. I'm gonna need the Paragon Performance shims. And I contacted Scott over at C-Force Performance. Such a wonderful person. Asked to speak ask to speak. Who is dying? Sorry, yeah. I hope no one's dying. I hope no one's dying. I hope there's no... Well, there they go. But yeah, I hope everyone's safe. What was I saying? Oh, asked to speak to Scott from C-Force Performance. He's sending me the Paragon Performance shims. I simply told him, I was like, hey man, I bought this whole package from you, you know, with all these Paragon parts like 3 months ago. I'm just opening it now because I've got the install appointment now. I do apologize for not checking the contents of the package better. And Scott was so nice. He was like, dude, don't even worry about it. Yeah, I'll send them right out. And so, bottom of my heart, thank you so much, man. That means a lot to me. That's great customer service. You're just a great human being. So I'm expecting those. So it's not like I need them right now, this second, but they're going to go on the vehicle, like I said, once I do the springs. And so let's say we do the springs in maybe about a month's time or something. But I would like to have the parts here so then that way peace of mind and everything. But anyways, so yeah, there you go. So you've got the Paragon Performance collars on there, no shims. We will put the shims on later. So this is the drop with just the Paragon. That's how much your vehicle is going to drop when you swap out the collars. And then remember, they do sell the 3/8 riser shims that you can put on. So I guess it would be 3/8 of an inch higher, of course, right? But I wanted max drop right now since we don't have the springs on there. Once I put the springs on there, I think that front lip is going to be on the ground. So since that front lip is going to be on the ground, I'll probably end up putting the 3/8 riser shims on there. So then that way I'm not... I mean, I'm telling you, like, just looking at it right now, if this thing drops 1.75 inches more, that's going to be 1.75 inches more that's going to be hovering. That's going to be hovering. So I don't worry about the side. I worry about the front. The front is going to be, because the vehicle is raked. Like we all know, the vehicle is naturally raked forward. So that's going to be digging into everything. So we'll see. That's the hard part, right? If later on, if we go lower, right, and then we realize we're too low, you have to disassemble the two front strut assemblies, for that matter, shock assemblies, whatever you want to call them, and then take everything out, right? Brian would have to take every little piece out again, and then take off the collars, the Paragon Performance collars, then put the shims in there, put that back on. Then after the collars, then put every other piece back on. And yeah, so it's a pain, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. This video is about the collars only, all right? I'm not gonna waste your guys' time talking about future videos. I'm gonna wrap it up right there because I'm just pouring sweat. This is disgusting. This is like, the shirt is just stuck to me right now. So I need a shower. I'm gonna watch some soccer games. I need a drink of water more than anything, and I want some hot dogs. So anyways, that's the game plan. But yeah, if you like that video, go and click that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in a few days. I mean, literally, I just need to space out my videos like 5 days apart, or I'm just gonna burn through all my content. So yeah, I've got everything filmed and just need to stitch all these different videos together. So yeah, all right, stay tuned. Bye.